You want to start?
No. Um, I don't know what you want me to start with. I guess thanks for having me on. I'm excited to get to cameo on this. And Alex, maybe I guess I would start with running the marathon, cutting off all of your hair, and moving across the world is like a pretty amazing trifecta of things to go through. Can you talk us through like just what that feels like?
Yeah, so I think it's been um, a very unique couple of weeks, couple of months, maybe even a unique year for me. But I just touch based in Barcelona, and I, after a couple of years of dreaming about living in Spain, I decided to rip the band-aid and just make the move, and take a little bit of a leap of faith, not knowing what's on the other side. And it's been a little bit of a thrill. I think like you there's a lot that you said in there between the marathon and the marathon week, and kind of the send off that was with New York City, but also like the hair thing and the journey that I've been on with my hair, and this move and everything that it means. So like maybe we dissect this into some sections because it's been a lot. It's been overwhelming, but so beautiful.
I figured we probably would break all of those things down. I was sitting here from afar watching, thinking I have so much admiration for just like, yeah, as you said, what a leap of faith that is. It's very cool.
Did you plan on cutting your hair? Was it like spontaneous? Like you walked by a barber and then decided?
Well, I think it was a little bit of both. For maybe a couple of weeks, I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And there were little signs and messages and people placed in front of me from the universe, whether it's like someone who's done it before or someone who's telling me like, oh my God, you look so great with, with a buzz cut, that gave me that kind of positive encouragement to just go for it and do it. And I have been wearing a lot of braids this past year with all my running because I had so much hair. And for a while, when I was younger, I really wanted to donate it, especially like when my mom was going through her cancer treatments and her own hair journey. Like that kind of motivated me to do something with all the hair that I had that I like didn't necessarily care for at that time, but I never got around to it. And this was kind of a unique opportunity. I'm like, I'm right about to start, a new life across the world. I feel pretty confident with the braids, so at least like my head shape and the way that I look is somewhat familiar, although like it definitely takes some getting used to. Um, but the night before the race was when I did it, and I had my heart set on doing it then. And even with all the like festivities and events and marathon week madness, I just like did like a Google map search and found a couple of places in the neighborhood, and then literally walked into the most right place that I could have. And it was perfect. Like the person who cut my hair immediately got, everything that it meant to me, and was like, ready to rock and roll, and just supported me through it. And it was such a safe space. And then the next morning, I was like, okay, you got to get out of bed and show your new haircut to the entire city. Let's go. Which was very, very intimidating, but I think such a release and such a man, I just felt lighter, and I felt all, I I'm a believer, that our hair holds a lot of our emotions and a lot of our traumas and a lot of the things that we accumulate throughout this like life. And I felt it was like a now or never situation. Like, when else am I going to have an opportunity to like just shave my head? And even though it was kind of like scary, and some people like probably thought I was having a Britney moment or something, like this was so needed. And I just like, I can't, like some days I just like can't stop like looking at myself in the mirror, like not like being able to comprehend who like this new person is that's staring at me. It's been a really interesting and beautiful experience, to say the least.
I was gonna make a Britney reference, and I was trying to weigh in my mind like if that would offend you or if it would be okay. So I'm glad you made one. So now it's out there. Are you gonna keep it short, or like was this a one time thing?
I think I'm gonna keep it short for a little while. I went into like a full-blown panic yesterday thinking about what the growing out process would look like.
I'm in the process right now. I've been shaving my head for years, and now I kind of want a hairstyle, and the only thing stopping me from doing that is the in between. Like it, I feel like I don't want to get in your head at all, but I feel like a grade school kid that like got a buzz cut and then just lets it grow out. And I don't really want to feel like a grade school kid in that regard. So I'm stuck buzzing mine for the rest of eternity, it seems.
Well, I think I'm willing to learn to love the grade school kid in the mirror. And I think that's what some of this is about in a way. When I was younger, my mom just had my hair cut short all the time, and most of the time, people would think that I'm a boy. And I remember like hysterically crying on the street when like people would stop her that she hasn't seen in a while, and they would ask, how old is your boy? And I'm like, I'm not a boy, I'm a girl. And it's so funny like to just like be at this age, and I feel like there's some inner child healing that's happening here, and learning how to love myself when I don't have all the hair to hide behind, and seeing my face and my features, and getting to know myself in a very different way. It's kind of like self rediscovery. But yeah, the the vibe right now is something that like is just like I'm into it. I think I'm gonna keep it short for a while. I might dye it blonde. I think like while I have this opportunity, I want to experiment a little bit and see, try some different hairstyles or hair colors, because I never really did much with my hair in the past. And then take it from there, like one day at a time.
You said something, I'm losing what it was in my head now, Alex, but like embrace the grade school kid grow up phase, because it's like when we're kids and youth, you have so much change on display, and kids kind of own that in a different way than adults do. Like as adults, oftentimes I feel like we're always trying to like kind of, I don't know, like shield the changes that we're going through, or like growth that's happening for better or worse. And like it's just, I don't know, kind of an amazing opportunity to like it, you cut off all your hair. I agree with you. I think hair holds a lot. Um, and it's such a like powerful experience to just get to like embrace like being vulnerable with the change that's happening in your life through something as like literal as hair growing or hair shedding.
Yeah, I mean, spot on everything that you just said.
I was also going to ask if I should tell the story of Wes bleaching his hair.
Ooh,
I was wondering if you would. Please, yeah, go ahead, because it's funny.
Well, he specifically told me not to roast him too much on this, but he had his heart set on like, I shave his head every Thursday night, and he had said to me that he wanted to bleach his hair blonde, like, you know, Eminem back in the day. And I'm like, okay, cool. But we should bleach your hair before we cut it because it needs to have like a follicle. I'm not a hairdresser, but I'm assuming that the hair dye needs to have like some sort of hair follicle to attach to and color, right? And he insists that, like, no, cut my hair first, then bleach. And I'm like, okay, whatever. This is your hair, your process. I'll respect that. So we go get the box dye from the drugstore. I bleach his hair. We leave it on. We go through the process. He goes to get in the shower to wash it all off. And he says to me, like, take a good look now because I'm going to be an entirely changed man when I get out of the shower. And then he gets out of the shower, dries off, and his hair is exactly the same. It's just his entire scalp is bleached blonde. But the hair was unchanged.
It was quite painful. It really hurt.
Yeah.
wow.
It was like a solid, I don't know how long you had the bleach in for, but it was, yeah, I just had to watch you sit through this like really painful bleaching process all for nothing.
Yeah, I mean physically painful. Like emotionally, it was funny. It wasn't really painful emotionally, but physically it hurt and my scalp was like red for forever. Like it actually still might be.
I think it didn't like blister, but it like caused some wounds on your scalp. So if you're gonna dye it blonde, Alex, just make sure you've got a little bit of hair.
I,
See, I have a way less insightful take on this. I just want to know if you're any faster without it. Like, did it improve aerodynamics?
I think absolutely. It was just so crazy running. I mean, the only run that I had with my short hair, it was the marathon. I haven't run since um, because of my injury, but it just felt surreal. But even like, the other day it started to drizzle a little bit and I felt rain on my head for the first time and I was like, what is this? It's definitely I don't know, just a different feeling on your head. Even, a shower or I do have to say, like, I love how much less time, getting ready, getting out of the house, it takes. And Sarah, I'm definitely glad that you shared that story because there's like I've been experimenting a little bit and wanting to learn how to cut my own hair. Um, and I've cut it twice so far since I've been here. And the last time there was like a little bit of an accident and I have a patch on my right side. So the dyeing thing is definitely like I need a professional to do this. I'm not willing to just like risk it or DIY it because yeah, I think like the damage could be big.
Definitely seek professional guidance for hair dyeing.
Now I feel like you've done so many things since we last talked, and it's only been like a very short amount of time. Like if I think about what you've done since our last episode and what I've done since our last episode, it's really sad to be me. But can I ask you about Maine first? Because last we talked is kind of when you soft launched the idea of it and then you did it and now it's done. So, like, I mean, just in case anyone listening hasn't heard the first one, which I implore everyone, if you're listening, go back, listen to Alex's old episode. But can you say exactly what you did in the run to Maine? And then maybe we can follow up with questions after that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I say this year has just been a whirlwind, and it feels like there's been these points in time that just feel like an outer body experience. And like when I think back to the last time we talked, that was in May only. Like June, July, August, September. It's 5 months, and so much has happened. And I remember when I was talking to you, I was a little nervous to kind of say it out loud that I wanted to run from New York to Maine because it was in such initial stages, and I wasn't sure how to even, talk about it. But now it's like a thing of the past, which is just so funny that that's how life works. Um, so I had this dream to run to Maine, and I think now reflecting back, it was in a way coming home. Maine was home to me for about 10 years, and I moved to the States in my early teens as a war refugee from Bosnia with my mom. And I think like getting a chance to spend time out there by myself, it felt like such a gift. It was a gift to me, but also a gift from me to Maine and New York, and these beautiful themes of home and finding home within wherever I found myself on that journey. It was really special, and a really great way to kind of like tie the bow to the uh, experience on that side of the world. And then after the suffering that was also just being able to allow myself to move and start fresh, which is where I am now. But yeah, I got inspired to do this um, when I watched a film called Blisters about a runner from Germany. His name is Essi, and I need to give him his flowers because he's the one who kind of coached me through the training. And the entire summer I spent basically outside, getting to roam around the streets of New York and really get to see the city in a way that I never have before, because I was just outside, during the work week while other people were working or going about life, just witnessing all of these different scenarios and coming across all these different energies. And it was it was such a privilege to spend a summer like that with New York City and everything that it is, building up the mileage. And I think at one point I got to 100K day. And then that was like the first phase of the training. And then the second phase of the training was kind of splitting up the high mileage weeks across all the days. And I'm just really grateful for Essi because I basically followed his blueprint that he used when he did several other runs like this in the past. And yeah, I think it wasn't everything that I initially thought it would be, and things kept evolving and changing, which was really beautiful. But it forced me to completely surrender to the experience, and just take it one step at a time and let it become whatever it is meant to become. But it was just one of those things that I became fixated on, and I couldn't look away. And right before I came on the podcast back in May, I left my job in tech after 10 years of building a career. And I couldn't think about anything else but this run to Maine. And it was, really great that I got a chance to do it and live out a dream.
I have kind of a two-part question. You can talk about this in like the process of preparing for the run or in the actual like journey to Maine itself. But um, what's the most surprising thing you learned about yourself and the environment, like either city, along the way? And then what's something that you already knew that was validated?
Hmm. I think from a very young age, I was kind of forced to stay flexible and adapt quickly to an ever-changing environment. And I know that being adaptable is one of my biggest strengths. So maybe this is like a surprise, but also validating. So both of your questions answered like one thing. But right before I left for Maine, a week before, so I ran every single day from April to August. And part of that training was for the mind. So no matter what was happening in my body, it was very important for me to get outside because during the week of the run, I wouldn't have the luxury to say, I'm going to sit this one out. And just the mental strength that I built was like, surreal to me that I could, no matter what was happening, run through it. And a week before, I had this pain in my left leg, kind of like my left tibia / foot. And so like no injuries, like no major things, running every single day all summer long. And then the week before is like the tests start testing. And I'm like not able to run, like putting weight on my left leg hurts. Not able to walk without a limp. And, I think like all the alarms in my mind are like sounding and going crazy, but everything in me is just telling me to like sit back and rest and let like everything around me and life take its course, and just trust that everything will work out. And also, I think to mention, like, I ended up renting a van and I was going to have a crew. I had like several friends who took time off of work to come up at certain parts of the route, and help and see me and cheer me on. Um, and maybe like 3 weeks before the run, my friend Will, who was going to drive the van, ended up having a lot of health issues and these thyroid flare-ups. And I think like I was just so amazed by the fact that I like didn't spiral and didn't go searching for another person, because like I just kind of sat with that update and thought to myself, maybe this is supposed to take different shape and it's okay. And I just kind of kept plugging along. And so again, like right before you do something really big and really uncomfortable, I feel like the tests are like the greatest at that time. And no matter what was happening, and this is like, leading up to it, but also like throughout the entire journey, I felt like I could have a safe space within and trust that it's all going to work out the way it's supposed to. And it did, and it always does. And I went on this amazing solo journey, and I think I just wanted to soak it all in and take it all in, from the nature and trails and the roads, and there were some scary parts. Like, there were some places where I felt less safe. There were times when, like, my tech was dying, my phone was dying. Like, I had so many people on my location share, so like that was draining all of my battery, no matter how many refills it had. And then if I wanted to listen to something, you're just out there all day long. And I like thought to myself, like, this is how it was supposed to go down. Because when you do have a crew, there is a lot of pressure and there's a lot of expectation, and there's I feel like an additional component that you have to like always think about in the back of your mind. And it's a lot more structured experience. This way I could just go, stop when I wanted, keep going when I wanted, and just kind of embrace the famous saying, there's only one way, and that's through. So yeah, I think just like my ability to keep shifting with the waves and the currents of the journey was something that I'm incredibly proud of myself for. And I think it was really great training for this move. And I think running gifts us many lessons. And that is just like one example.
Absolutely.
I'm just hanging back and leaving space for Sarah to ask like actual running questions, because I don't know anything about the like actual running part. I want her to be able to ask the technical stuff. So I'm listening, I'm just quiet.
I don't know if I have any technical questions, but I mean, like, this is not new. This has been talked about a lot lately, that like everything in running has some sort of kind of metaphorical transference to life itself. And yeah, just so amazing to hear like the strength that you gained through that then kind of built momentum to take the leap that you're on now. And like major kudos to you for going through that solo, because any woman listening will understand how like daunting that is, but also just how like scary and realistically how unsafe it can be to run alone in your own community, let alone from New York to Maine. And whether you're moving through a community or an environment that is sort of objectively safe, you can still feel very unsafe as a woman.
Yeah, I think one of the most surprising things, and also heartbreaking things, like running and being able to get outside for this sort of movement and exercise on a regular basis, is something that I didn't realize it was such a privilege. I think the people who live in big cities where there is a lot of that take it for granted. And I think once I started stepping out and going into some of these more suburban areas that were a little bit remote, and the long stretches of the roads, like, so I ended up running on this path that stretches from Florida to Maine, and it's called the Coast Greenway. So I didn't really have to like figure out my route. I just let the greenway unfold in front of me, basically. And I had kind of like segments that I set myself for like daily goals, were like what I thought I wanted to do each day. And it was very important for me not to be running in the dark. I think like if I had a crew, that would be very different. I could have taken advantage of the night and the cooler temperatures, and I love running in the dark. But being that I was by myself and I wasn't sure, like some days I just didn't know when my next water break would come or when the next bathroom break would come. I think all the days were so different. But getting like into deep like New England, I didn't see a lot of people running, and it wasn't accessible to be outside. And even though I was like on a path, I think like even just people confused, with the looks and the stares and the judgment and some of the more conservative areas. There were definitely parts where I would, run through and be like, wow, like America can be scary. And I think just like feeling that energy only kind of solidified my want and my decision to make a move even more. And I think this move is very timely for me because it feels, the US feels like a really complicated place to exist right now. But yeah, I think I came back to New York and I told all my friends, like, we're all so lucky that we have all these run clubs and like these run crews and these communities. And there's, I just like, I felt extra grateful for that because other places out there don't have that.
Okay, let me just ask. As I said, I want Sarah to ask real questions. Let me just ask novice ones that I'm really curious about. Were you sleeping outside, like on the runs every night?
No, so I slept at hotels each night with the exception of the first night. So day one was like my probably strongest running. And I think it's mainly because I had my two incredible pacers with me. So Colin from Home Run met me at Home Run at 5 a.m. on day one, which was right around the corner from where I lived in Brooklyn. And we ran together to the Bronx. And in the Bronx, we picked up Terry, body language. And the three of us carried on into Connecticut. And we I think the pacing was great, the company was great, the conversations and the laughs, and at some point it was really funny. Terry didn't even know that the real run was happening. He thought it was like, I don't know, a rehearsal or something. He was like, wait, what do you mean you're not going back? Like, he was like, I'm going to get on the train here in Greenwich. And I'm like, okay, bye. Like, that's cool. He's like, what about you? I'm like, what do you mean, what about me? I'm going to Maine. He's like, wait, what now?
It's so funny.
But that just kind of completely gave me the energy to take off and keep going. And I think I did 52 miles day one. And I finished in this little town in Connecticut where my good friend Cynthia lives. And she picked me up from the train station and I stayed at her house on the first night. And then days 2, 3, and 4, I was on my own, and I kind of knew where I was gonna stay for 2 of those nights based on where I thought I would end up. But on day 4, I ended up cutting my day short because it was really hard, and I think that's probably another thing that was a really big lesson for me. Just letting go of the control and this rigidity and it has to be X, Y, and Z, and just realizing this is my journey. These are my rules. If I want to treat this day as a recovery day and take an Uber the last 20 miles to Boston, I can. And, I think letting go and again, finding that surrender was like kind of hard, but in that I found so much power. And yeah, I think like then at the end of day 4 and 5, my one of my best friends and favorite trail runners, Meg Krupka, she met me with some fresh clothes and fresh sneakers because I was like kind of, I had everything I needed on me. Like my bag, my running pack was so heavy. And I was like, I would wash my clothes in the sink of the hotel room every single night. So like having some fresh clothes and like brand new sneakers, like I felt like I could fly. Um, yeah, that was really great.
So the whole thing took 5 days?
I was out there for 6 days.
And wait, how did your tibia foot hold up?
Honestly, I like it just the pain just kind of moved around. On day one when we started, I told Colin like I don't know if I'll be able to run. I just want to make it to start line. And we actually walked the first maybe like 200 meters of down Graham Avenue, and I was like, looked at him and I was like, maybe we can turn this into a little shuffle. Let's see how that feels. And then we just started shuffling, and then we started running, and and I didn't really feel any pain. But I think like later on, you start to feel things, and like obviously like day after day after day, you just kind of like realize the pain just moves around. And I stuck to the recovery things and the things that I knew worked. And after each day, or even like in the middle of the run, if I was stopping for a rest break, like I'd put my feet up on a tree or a bench or whatever and stretch and do that somewhat regularly just to like check in with my body. But um, that that injury, after the run, like wasn't really there anymore.
I relate to that so much because before almost every big, whether it's like a solo adventure or a race, probably 2 or 3 weeks before, um, I call them, I like gaslight myself into having bilateral tibial stress fractures. And it's normal. And, eventually they go away and the race or the run or adventure happens, and it was never a thing to begin with, but it's just amazing that the mind has this power to um, hold you back but also let you go.
Yeah, I think like the your mind will try to like tell you all kinds of stories and like play all kinds of tricks on you and tell you like every single possible reason. Like I remember at one point I was just like, I don't like, my brain kept looking for solutions for things that weren't even problems. I'm like, this is not a problem, Aleks. Like, why are we thinking about this? Why are we solutioning for something that doesn't exist? Yeah. So like learning to just kind of quiet it and keep plugging along, focused on the mission, is something that I feel like is a really great skill that gets sharpened in running.
Is this injury, like that you're talking about now, is that the same one that you're dealing with currently?
Different leg. Although this time around it's a lot more stubborn.
And do you know what it is?
So I know exactly when it happened because I felt it. After I came back from Maine, I ended up getting a bib for New York City Marathon, which was really, really exciting thanks to Home Run and Nike. And I just kept thinking like I wasn't sure where to go after the main run. Like, when you're training for something for so long and you put your heart and soul into it and then it's behind you. And I came back to Brooklyn being like, now what? And then that came along and I was like, oh, thank God. Like there's something, like there's a next thing. And I ended up just doing too much way too soon. Because all of my training all summer long was like time on feet and really slow, paced, time on feet, long runs. I didn't really get to play with speed a lot. And I was like, let's see what's possible here. And did like this really intense track workout one day. And then a few days later, went on a really fast long run that felt really good. But I felt this tear right above my ankle on the inner side of my leg. And it didn't hurt right after the run, but like several days later, I went on another long run and I couldn't walk after. And I was like, okay, this is definitely, I know what this is. But I rested up until, so this was end of September. And then for 6 weeks, I didn't run. I just like rested and did my Pilates and yoga, saving myself for the marathon. And when I stepped out, like basically one of the shakeout runs during marathon week was like the first time being out there. And it was painful. It was painful. The marathon was painful, but it was so worth it. Like I wouldn't change a thing.
I'm just even more amazed, like that you, I mean, the city carries you in New York for sure, but that's pretty wild.
Yeah, I realize like since I got here, there's been like such a shift in the way I'm resting because I'm realizing just how much pressure I had, self-imposed pressure, nothing more than that, about how New York City Marathon was gonna go and how things were gonna pan out on race day, because I was so unsure of what my body, if I would be able to get through it. And I mean, I was willing to suffer a bit, but if it became too much, I told myself like you need to just like walk away, whether it's completely stopping or just like walking the rest of it, like whatever is needed. And I needed to listen to my body, but I held up quite nicely. And you're right, Sarah, like the city and the people and the energy just kind of takes over. And I felt like I was floating the entire time. And I was having this like big going away party in my own head with New York City. And I just felt like it was really special.
Was that energy, like, I'm guessing it was probably amplified after the whole marathon week, with the pop-up and events going on?
Yeah, yeah, it definitely was. I just felt like I was high on life the entire week. Um, I was also going through like getting out of my apartment and moving out. I think that Thursday, which was the magazine launch party, it was like the first night of like the home run and the mental athletic space opening. I had to get out of my apartment that day because it was end of the month. And then I was going to stay with a friend of mine in Queens for the remaining week before I jumped on a plane to come to Barcelona. And the whole day was like one of the hardest days I've ever had. And I moved out by myself. I think people came throughout the weeks prior to like take different things. And it was really cool because like things just kind of like went by themselves because, whether the new tenant wanted to keep, a couple of the pieces of the furniture, or my good friend Marta came with her cousin to take, to break down the bed and take it. Like everything just kind of like cleared out like over the weeks, which was really great. And I felt this massive need to just like let things go. And like week over week I'd bring like bags of clothing, or like I had so much running stuff. Like I think that was the biggest like realization, just like seeing how much of like my closet was like running and like active outdoor activities related. I was like fascinated. But there's this park nearby where I would go with my dog every day, and every morning I'd go to Cooper Park and take a bag with me, and they have like a little donation um, section right at the entrance, and you can leave books and clothing and whatnot. And then one day I saw this homeless guy with like a pair of my Adidas sweatpants on, and it just like filled my heart so much, because like realizing that there's like little bits and pieces of Alex gonna be like roaming around New York City for a very long time just made me so happy. And it was such a beautiful way to let go of the things that I didn't need anymore, or like just simply couldn't, like take with me. And I packed up my entire life, basically like 13 years of life in New York City, into like a handful of suitcases, and moved out of my apartment that day, that Thursday. And like my light at the end of the tunnel was like, just get to the launch party, like just get there, because like all of your friends are gonna be there and it's gonna be the best time. And like I got there, and like nothing else mattered. Like no matter how tough the day was, like being with everybody, and just like getting a chance to like celebrate, and I don't know, like experience the kickoff to like the marathon week was just like everything.
What did you do with all your plants?
My friend Katie has the majority of them, but I did just put some outside, and it's so funny. Like no matter what I put outside of my gate, like people would take it, and I was just so surprised. Like New York City streets will take everything. Um, but yeah, my plants. I remember the day that she came and like sweep them all up, and she left, and I woke up the next day and I was like, wow, this place is so bare. It just felt like so weird, waking up in my space without all the greenery.
And the idea of just completely changing everything and cutting all your hair off and getting rid of your blend sounds really freeing and really cool. I admittedly am like, I would never do it. Like Sarah and I are going out for lunch after this. I'm debating what if I want to like switch what I usually eat. I might not go, I might never eat again. Like that stressful. I can't even like fathom the drastic changes you made. It's like really one of the coolest things I've ever heard. I'm way too scared to change anything, but the idea of it is incredible.
Wes is also such a hoarder. Like we just have closets full of like, I don't know, like used graffiti markers, or like boxes and boxes of photo. Well, I mean, we would never get rid of photos.
There's like one bag of markers in one closet. It's not that bad.
One time I was trying to get rid of some clothing, like just purge our closets. And there was a jacket, like a Gore-Tex shell jacket, um, that Wes had got years ago, doesn't fit him anymore. And I asked, like, can we donate this? And he said, "Oh, I really don't want to. Like, I have so many good memories attached to that jacket." Like, what? But someone else will have a lot of good memories attached to this jacket. And then, like, in full transparency, sorry, Wes, I just stopped asking and I just started. There were like a couple shoes and shirts and stuff. I have a good friend with four teenage boys, and that's a lot of boys to
Mm.
outfit. And Wes would bring home like shirts and shoes when he owned his shop, and some things were just like never even opened, collecting dust in like the depths of the closet. I know what things are, hold emotional value and what things are just things. And so I tried to parse those out, and I gave some to my friend, and now her boys have.
Are you saying live on my own pod that you got rid of that jacket?
I did get rid of that
You
jacket.
didn't even
Yes.
notice. See, like it's just
Exactly.
All
I
right,
think
all right.
just while we're on this topic, one of the biggest like release, like get rid of the thing moments during this whole experience was me finding, and Wes, we talked about my bro runner moment where I found a bag with all my medals. And I literally just took them all and threw them in the trash can. Even like my Antarctica marathon medal. Like I was just, it's
Whoa.
just a
I
medal.
wondered. I saw that story and I would have forgot to ask you, but what was that? I mean, I guess you just explained. Yeah, I had no idea why they were going in the garbage, but I did see that.
They're so heavy. I'm like, I can't carry this. And plus, like, I want to make space for new medals. And at the end of the day, like, it's just a thing that like it doesn't hold the anything, any value to me. Like in my heart and in my mind, I have the memories, I have the photos, like I have the experience, like I was there. The medal is just a thing. And I think over the past like couple of months, I've just been able to pull away from things holding me hostage. And it's been a very liberating process to like just get rid of everything and create space for new things, because it's not about losing anything, it's about reclaiming, and that feels very powerful.
Yeah, it's incredible. I'd never have the mental fortitude to even think about doing that, but the fact that you did it is very cool.
I'm going to challenge you to do that next time we purge things.
I'm not. I won't do it. I'm on record. I'm really curious, Alex. You talked a bit before about when you were on the run, it kind of like made you realize how good people in New York have it, like with all the run clubs and the accessibility and like meeting new people. So I don't want to at all get in your head, and I mean this as respectfully as possible. But what made you want to uproot from New York right as you were realizing this, right as like your orbit, all your friends, like home run is blowing up like more than I've ever seen anything blow up. Like, what made you leave that when you did?
Hmm. So I think the move to Spain may have come as a surprise, maybe to people who haven't known me for a while. But 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I went through like a big life change and went through a divorce and went on the Camino de Santiago, de Compostela here in Spain is a pilgrimage that actually there's a couple of different ways, but the most common one is the French way that starts in southern France and it goes over the Pyrenees Mountains and across northern Spain, and it ends on the west coast. And this kind of like just fell into my lap at a very difficult time. And I found so much healing on this trip, and so much just self-discovery, and I completely fell in love with Spain. And I came back to New York telling all of my friends I'm moving to Spain. The last couple of days of the trip, I came to Barcelona, and I was by myself for that part. For the Camino, I went on that journey with a group with American Cancer Society. And while I was in Barcelona in 2023, I just felt this undeniable feeling of this could be me, this could be home. And New York is the only other place I've ever felt like that in my life. And I never thought I'd find it again, because like I just think to myself all the time, like, where do you go after New York City? Like, not to like talk shit, but like, what am I gonna go live in Chicago or like Philadelphia? Or like, it just does not match up. And like California is great, but it's a little foreign to me. And yeah, I think like just coming back to the Spain location, it's kind of like a midpoint between my home and my roots in Bosnia, which is where I still have family. My dad is there, my aunts, my mom's sisters are there. I have friends from my childhood, and like godchildren that like I haven't really. I go back once a year or so, but it's not enough, and I want to invest more time in those relationships and in this next phase of my life. And so like this has been a dream of mine for a couple of years now. I've been Barcelona dreaming and Spain dreaming, and just more access to all of these different European countries, and more nature and better food. Like there's just a different quality of of produce here. And you walk into a super, like I've been here for 2 weeks and I've only been in a restaurant once, not because the food at restaurants isn't great, but because I can't get enough of cooking. And like I go into a supermarket and I want to buy everything. I'm just like, calm down. You realize just like how different food has become in the States, and how distant it feels, and how processed it is. And yeah, these are some of the things that I just like wanted more of in my life. And I originally was going to do it right in 2023, just like pull the trigger and go. But I ended up getting a promotion at work, and I stayed for the job. And then a year later, there was a really big project that I couldn't walk away from. I had a chance to build like some facial recognition kiosks that have like my name on the patent for. And it was just like such a surreal opportunity that I was like, I need to stay for this and like have this on my resume. And then after I went to Antarctica, I came back. I was like, okay, it's time to like quit my job and figure out what's next. And then I became obsessed with running into Maine. And after that was done, I was like, all right, you can go now. So I think like now it's just like, I got here and I was very pleasantly reminded of that feeling that I had a couple of years ago when I was here. And there's so much magic, and the city just feels so vibrant and so alive. And it's not about losing New York City, although like I think part of me is grieving. It's grieving the people, it's grieving the city and the community, but it's more so about like taking that as a foundation and building on top of it. And this running thing is so global. Like, home run in next weekend, I'm going to see our friends from Mental Athletic here in Barcelona because they're doing a launch party of the magazine here. So I'm excited to spend time with them. But, Home Run does activations all over the world. And I think it can just be like a value add that I'm here. And, I can take a quick trip to Paris when they're there next or whatever. I think some of those friendships and connections are just so special that no matter what the distance is, they're going to be there no matter what.
How terrified are you every day of your life, like, to do all this? Or like, are you not scared, or are you good at hiding it?
I'm scared. I'm scared. And I think I would be lying if I said that there was no fear. I think I constantly, every day when I wake up, I remind myself that my only job right now is to fall in love with everything around me. I think when we have these callings, like, I just keep thinking to myself, like, I don't know what's driving me forward, but that is exactly why I feel like I need to let go of this humanly urge to control and just kind of like be led and let things unfold. And ever since I got here, I have been like doubling down on my healing. I joined this wellness studio, which is incredible. It's like one of those places where you can just stay for an entire day. They have like 70 classes a week. So I've been trying different things I've never tried before, like aerial yoga, and they have sound baths. And I've been, like tapping into some strength training, and I found a PT. And they also have a spa there. So I've been like doing my contrast therapy on the daily, like every single day. I'm sauna and cold plunging, and spending time outside and being at the beach and just like taking it all in. And I think like, I'm detaching from everything altogether, but like in that forcing myself to stay as present as possible. And yeah, it feels surreal because it's been a dream of mine for a couple of years to be here. And now that I'm here, I'm doing everything in my power to stay committed to like not getting ahead of myself and not seeking, what's the next milestone or the next bragging rights, but just to learn to find joy in like getting excited to wake up tomorrow and seeing what it holds.
I kind of want to wake up that way. Can you teach me how?
It's been incredible, honestly. Like I just like I cry, like I walk outside and someone smiles at me and says good morning, and I like could cry because it's like so grateful for all of these like different moments in life. And I know that there's probably like a little bit of like a honeymoon phase that I'm experiencing with being here, but there's so much to love here. And I think with the time that I'm spending alone, it's just an opportunity to like find my or like befriend myself more often, openly and more truly. And I think once you do that, it kind of plants seeds for everything else.
Do you speak Spanish fluently?
Of course not. But I'm very lucky that mostly everybody around me speaks English. Walking into stores and just like everyday life, Most people speak English, so it's been really wonderful. But I'm learning. I have like 2 hours a day that I commit um, to like a formal learning of the language, and then just being forced to like speak it. I think is something that really helps. And English is not my first language, and I picked that up although I was much younger in my early teens. But once you're forced to kind of like figure it out, you just kind of have to. So I also love languages and studied Latin when I was in high school and loved that. I went on a bunch of meets and stuff. Was a Latin nerd, and there's so many similarities. It feels very intuitive. So we'll see how long it takes me to be fluent, but for now, definitely not.
Yeah, keep us posted.
Yeah, I kind of want to ask what's next, but I don't, because I had no idea about this Barcelona dream of yours, and you never mentioned it last episode, which is incredible. Like when I want to do something, I tell people. Like at least Sarah hears about it. I like the idea of telling no one or only very close people what's next. But I assume, Maine was on your mind, did that, Barcelona did that. Next, I can't even imagine what would be on the chopping block, but I bet it's amazing, and I can't wait to hear about it when it does get unleashed.
I mean, you and I both. I'm just like being in the moment, being in the now, and finding so much joy and so much gratitude in that. One thing that I am looking forward to, this physio that I found. I'm hopeful that he can get me back to running again. I'm doing something called shockwave therapy for the first time, and that is supposed to be very impactful for uh, tendons and ligaments and things of that nature. And I had my first session last week, and it was pretty painful, but I already feel a massive difference. And I think also just like a shift in my body, not having the pressure of something coming up, like there isn't anything next. I think that has also been really helpful. And he also did tell me some things I didn't want to hear, like that my right leg was shorter than my left, and my body was compensating in all of these different ways, and I needed to relearn how to run. But I'm very proud of myself for just staying open to his feedback and not walking out for him telling me that I don't know how to run.
I mean, you've ran an immense amount of really impressive things for someone who doesn't know how to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think like all of our bodies are so unique and so asymmetrical. Like this sort of thing is normal, and I think like everybody runs their own way, and like I subscribe to that. Like there is no correct way to run, but he, I think, is very right in the fact that with the body compensating in different ways long term, over a lifetime, that can really take a toll. So I'm excited to take steps, some baby steps, to like to recovery. And I just cannot wait to get outside. Like I walk outside, and here in Barcelona, I'm like 5 minutes away from the beach. So I'm at the beach every single day with my dog. And there's just like beach volleyball and beach calisthenics and people, just like all kinds of like activities, and just people moving their bodies, and so many runners. And it's been really hard, but I'm like doing everything in my power. Like I'm really enjoying like watching runners. I even took my dusty camera the other day, and I took some photos of runners on on the beach and had some fun with that. But like, I cannot wait for when it's time for me to get out there and to just go and explore. And I want more trails, and there are a ton of mountains in the area, and Mallorca is just a ferry ride away, and there are some really awesome trails. That's something that's been top of mind for me for some things that are coming up in the near future as soon as I'm able to.
How did your dog like the move?
Oh my God, he's loving it. There's so much open space to roam around. I think I didn't realize just how dog friendly Barcelona was. Most people here have a dog, and it's very common to like for dogs to be like roaming around off leash. We have two like really big parks right in our backyard as well. So he's been living his best life, like making friends. And I think because the dogs are like at the beach, they're like off leash. There's like way less tension, and it's just a lot more chill. So he's I feel like he's walking around like he owns the streets or something. And he's been eating a lot better too. So no complaints over here.
Yeah, I would like to live a bit more like you, and also it seems like I would like to live a bit more like your dog. Sounds pretty good. I I don't wanna we don't wanna keep you any longer than we said we would. I think I mean that was great. I think we touched on all the stuff we said we were gonna touch on. Is there anything we didn't talk about that you wanna talk about?
No, no, I think we covered the things that are currently happening, and I think that's the best story, you know. And this time around, I did think, you know how you always say at the end, like, is there something that you want to share, or you know, you give space for the person on your episode to say anything. And this time around, I gave it a little bit of thought. And if you're ready to move into that, um, I can too.
I was born ready.
Yeah, I think just kind of like I want to tell people to do hard things. I want to tell people to get uncomfortable. I want to, you know, anybody who's listening, if they have a calling of sorts or something that they really want to do and they can't ignore, and that undeniable feeling, just go for it. You know, because like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, we're so afraid of failing or like not getting something right, but there's so much beauty in that too. Like, everything in our lives serves as a lesson, the good and the bad, and sometimes the hardest things are the most beautiful, and where the most strength and power comes from. And so even though this has been a really uncomfortable, transitional, I should say, time in my life, it feels like a huge leap, and not just a leap of faith, but an up level. You know, I feel like I'm recalibrating of sorts, and I'm really grateful for the courage. And you know, some days I do feel, you know, it's crazy, but at the same time, like, we can't take these days for granted. And um, I think it's important to be very intentional with the lives that we live, and find meaning in the lives and the days that we live. So um, the scarier and the harder, the better.
Well said.
Again, I would never do that because I'm terrified, but I do love that you promote that. So Sarah's probably closer than I am, but
Sarah knows what I'm talking about.
Well, I've never lived abroad. I've lived in the same place my whole life, but um, maybe one day. in the meantime, just go and do hard adventures to find that challenge and meaning.
Yeah, those will definitely fill your soul.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time. The time difference was actually was easy for us to figure out, but it's always another obstacle. And thank you for protecting me a bit from Sarah's roasting on this episode. That's nice to have a bit of a buffer for her introduction into all this.
No, I think both of you did great.
I'm not a monster. I can hold back, but thank you for having me on with you, Alex.
Yeah, thank both of you. I mean, I always tell people keep in touch, but we are in touch. But good luck with everything, even though I don't think you need it. But the healing, maybe, hopefully that.
Yeah, thank you. I'll take all the luck in the world. Yes, please.
Yeah, and until next time, when we can check in on your next fixation.
That sounds like a plan.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the day and weekend and whatever else you need to enjoy. Enjoy that. But thank you.
Thank you both. Talk soon.
See ya.
Take care.